Are we also live on LinkedIn? Awesome. Okay. Hi guys, can you see me very well? Give me a quick thumbs up and then we start. Hello, hello, hello. Hi apes. Our AI powered entrepreneurs are here. Just quickly show me in the comments we're all live and get some energy going. Awesome. I can see now. Hi Stock Club. Hi Karanjot. Hi Grandmaster. Advanced happy birthday. I see that you're going to be turning 1 year older in a few days. So advance happy birthday to you. And let's guys, if anyone wants, they can send some gifts on the chat to Grandmaster here. But guys, thank you so much for showing up. Today's topic is a very different one than the last one that we did, right? The first one, we made sure we understood the principles of business. We understood the right frameworks to plan our entire business, have certain structures, right? Many of you would have attended those, attended that session and tried out your hand at the lean canvas, right? And the business model canvas. I think that is one of the foundational things that you learn in a top tier MBA. The kind of principles that you leverage in a lean canvas and all is of that order. But what we're going to do today is going to be completely different. What we're going to say, let's say you have started your business and now you want to figure out how to build your early team, right? That's the first challenge. Once you are, as an individual, you make some progress and then you say, you know what, let me hire some people, let me delegate some work, let me expand my capabilities and so on, is the first moment you realize you need to hire someone in your team. And of course, when you're a small company, you don't have enough resources, you don't have enough clarity, you don't have an HR that hires on your behalf. When you go out, you find that you realize it's very hard to hire through LinkedIn, through intern shalas of the world. It's not easy, it takes a lot of time. So usually a lot of us who are yet to start our journey into entrepreneurship, we think of applying for jobs, applying for roles, and there is a certain struggle and friction that comes in that side of things. But what we're going to look at today as AI powered entrepreneurs, not just any entrepreneurs, we are going to look at what are the ways we can make our life much easier in terms of hiring. So I just want to know, from a quick show of hands, how many people here, guys, quickly, by some show of hand or some emoji, just show me here in the chat if you have tried hiring and you think it's a pain. Quickly, guys, I need to know if this is not a place where we're going to learn how to get ourselves a job. Okay, this is not that discussion. Although there might be a few tips for those of you who are still looking to switch jobs and are yet to start their entrepreneur journey. But if you've tried hiring, I know that you know the pain. Okay, even right now I am trying to hire very simple roles. I'm based in Jaipur and it's not easy, man. It's not easy to hire. It's always a pain. So okay, quickly. Okay, I see a bunch of hands showing up. Awesome. So which means you know the pain, right? If you know the pain, then you know that there are so many parts of this entire process from coming up with the right role to define in the first place, making the right JD, putting it on the right platforms, screening through so many resumes, hundreds of resumes. Once you screen, then scheduling so many interviews, then people don't show up in those interviews. If they do show up, they sometimes take up some other offer, or they turn out to be absolute terrible hires. There's just bunch of pitfalls that are there, right? And eventually you realize you spend too much time. Sometimes we are a little too tight with our money, and we say no, why to pay for hiring, we can do that anyway. And then you realize much later that it was probably better to pay someone who's an expert. Other times you have a good network and you find someone quickly and you don't need to pay a recruiter. So we've had the entire range of possibilities, but what doesn't change is that it's a pain. Okay, and that's why when we did a survey, when we got a lot of feedback in the Telegram community, we realized that many people are looking to understand how to hire better. How can especially AI help you hire better? And that's why we've got the experts in AI hiring today. Okay, so guys, let me invite our guest. And before that, I also want to make a quick announcement, right? In the last workshop, we had given challenge that those of you who had submitted one of you will be a winner who will get a chance to speak with RJ, Rishabh, and me one-on-one to get our inputs, to get our thoughts, to consult with us. And that's absolutely pro bono. We don't charge for it. It's the prize. And we have selected one winner already, someone who we think has done a great job at the assignment of designing a great canvas, lean canvas, and a business model. Okay, so stay tuned for that. Keep an eye on the community. We're going to announce the winner very soon, right? So with that announcement made, let's get into today's webinar. Guys, are we excited? Do we want to get a lot of value today? Because we have a bunch of questions lined up for our guest. Okay, so Lidhi, let's bring in Roli. Let's do that.
Hey guys.
Hi Roli, thank you so much for joining in. How are you?
Doing great, Nivedan. How are you?
No, I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for making the time. I'll give a quick formal introduction. I think we have spoken earlier, and I want to give you an approach to leveraging AI. Usually, most of us leverage AI for writing our emails and doing some research and using it as an alternative for Google search. Most of the people who are using AI today are doing that. What you've made is a much more elaborate way and much more sophisticated way of using AI. So, guys, here's a quick introduction about Roli. She's the founder and CEO of Babblebots.ai, where they're leveraging voice and generative AI to revolutionize recruitment. So this has emerged out of her first-hand personal experience, where she tried to do mass hiring at her previous company, Topper, and this company was named as one of the top, 10 AI startups by YourStory in 2023. So they've also gotten a lot of recognition in this space, and the idea is simple: that whatever is the process of recruitment, can we automate that using a lot of AI agents? But before this, she had run a company before by the name Oorjan Cleantech, which is into solar energy and operates in 15 states. So she's run a big company before, and has 20 plus years of experience. She's worked at Silicon Valley as well, apart from India. And of course, most importantly, how I got to first introduce to Roli is that she's a senior of mine from IIT Bombay, a super senior.
Super
Uh,
senior.
right, so you're a senior from IIT Bombay, and even though you've done your MBA from UC Berkeley, I think I will always see you as my IIT Bombay senior, really. So yeah,
Man,
that's
IT
your
Bombay rocks, yaar. IT Bombay rocks.
most welcome, and thank you so much again. Let's get started. I think people are waiting to get started on this. Yeah,
Sounds great. Sounds great.
awesome.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
lovely to hear. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So guys, there is going to be two segments. The first segment, I'm going to be asking a bunch of questions that we had gotten from the community before, as well as we'll just condense that into a couple of 2-3 central questions. Then I'm going to also bring in our another co-host, Meenakshi, who's going to lead the second segment. Okay. So let me start off the first segment, and then I'll hand it over to Meenakshi as well. So, okay, Ruli, let me start off with the question that everyone has in mind, right? I think what's best is to start off from first. Let me start off by the story that you personally have. What are the key to 2 or 3 hiring challenges that you have noticed most for small companies? What are the
Yeah.
biggest pain points that you've identified? And I want to see people if they resonate with those.
No, great question. Anyway, then actually we have been working with enterprises also, but more recently working a lot more with startups. And और हम खुद ही startup है. तो मतलब I hope mixed language is fine.
Yeah.
But I think सबसे बड़ा I think the problem is around the time. The founder and founding team's time is most important, and I think hiring, just by the nature of a very task based sort of process, it sucks a lot of time and energy, and that I think is probably the number one thing that I would say will bother small companies, right? Second, of course, is budget. उतना budget नहीं होता, so you want really good motivated people, but you don't have the budget. for that. I think that is the second one. Third is actually, I think this is a market problem right now, that a lot of people want to work in startups. And for every job role that you put out there, there's going to be like 200, 300, 400 people who are like ready to apply. And honestly, it's just overwhelming. I think that amount of data to sort of just even think about processing is overwhelming. Like if I told you, Nivedan, I give you 1 hour and you have these 200 resumes to go through, I don't think it's physically the problem. The problem is for you, it's going to be so much cognitive load to actually just do that, that it is equivalent to like 3-4 hours of good quality work towards like building your business, talking to customers or anything like that, right? So these are some of the problems that I think are very key to smaller companies. As you grow a little bit bigger, maybe you have some people to take care of your the first level of stuff. But I think startups, and even we've seen even up to 50-60 people, there won't be a recruiter. Even there's a recruiter, they will not be very well paid, so they won't be the kind of person who can actually do the right kind of filtering for you. So we're almost working on the startup side, working with companies as big as 200 people, and it's not very well organized. It's a pain. I mean, hiring is a pain. It's like one of those things, you have to do it, because how else will you grow? But if people had the option to grow without hiring, most people will want to do that. And but it's just like that thing. You need more minds, you need more hands to grow big, and this is just one of those things you have to do. But it's not a very pleasant activity at all. Yeah.
I think it makes sense from what, tell me if I'm right on this, and I'll summarize it for everyone. I think the first thing that you said is, usually if you're a small company, you're probably a solo founder with a couple of, maybe even 1 or 2 employees in the beginning, and you simply are the person who's doing everything, and you don't have the time and space for hiring. We can all relate with that. We don't never have enough budgets to hire a great candidate. So we're always, trying hard and going through options and doing that. I think it's a lot of times many candidates are skeptical of joining a small company. I think that is also something that probably we should mention, where you have to also attend to that thing. And then, there is just so much friction and lack of experience in the entire process, whether it be the founder or even if you could hire a young HR at a 40-50 member team. There's just not enough experience. So it's a lot of time. We can all agree on that. I want to now, ask, there are 2 questions I have lined up for you, which are things I want everyone to be exposed to. One is, I would of course ask you to kind of help us understand what is your workflow when you launched Babblebots. How are you solving this problem is the question I want to know. And then after that, if you could also say that, for someone who wants to do it for absolutely free, I think this is the question I want to start off with. Before we come to the Babblebots thing, how do I, as a founder, let's say, if I don't have enough budgets, let's start with that, right? What are some useful ways I can leverage AI, whether it be LLMs, whether it be some basic automation, something else, where I can speed up my recruitment process in meaningful ways and hire the right candidate? So what are some ways you can suggest that we can try out with our own hands?
So great question, Niven. There's just a lot of tools out there right now that can help you get through different parts of the journey. But actually, the job boards also don't necessarily make life easy. So first thing I will say, if you're a really small company, referrals go very, very far. I know it's not the answer people are looking for. They're looking for a tools answer. I can tell you that actually, if you can find somebody through your reference,
so
especially
human intelligence over AI, artificial intelligence first. Human intelligence over artificial intelligence as the first
human
step.
Intelligence, absolutely. And it's not even human intelligence. It's like the trust thing. The trust thing is going much farther than actually just solving that. You can take somebody with referrals, with some sort of a recommendation. I think that really goes much farther. I think there are ways in which you can. So I think you can use LLMs to figure out that for a particular role that you're looking for, what are the things you should look for and what are the things. See, a lot of the young founders actually don't even have experience hiring. So just like you don't have experience with customers, you also don't have experience with building a team. So if you in fact do the right kind of prompting, you will be able to just self-learn in terms of what are the things to look for, what are the things to avoid. And you can use like any of these open models, Perplexity, OpenAI, of course, anything that can give you fairly reasonable answers. So for example, if you wanted to talk about, hey, I'm looking for a customer success for my AI SaaS company, right? First customer success person for my AI SaaS company. Now, you've probably not been a customer success person yourself. You actually don't even know what are all the, you have some idea in your mind as to what you're looking for, but you're not really quite sure if this is enough, right? So let's just talk about ChatGPT right now. So ChatGPT can actually help you can bounce off ideas with that. So if you just ask this question that I'm looking for the first customer success person for my AI SaaS that is doing this, right? What are the things to look for and what are the qualifications to look for? You'll get a pretty good starting list of because it is getting the data from a lot of early stage companies who had customer success sort of job descriptions out there, and it's just synthesizing the data and giving you, right, along with some intelligence. So that I think you can do it for free. You should in fact do it for free, because the main question is that what do you even ask, and how do you make sure you're not missing out on any big items. Then of course, like if you have a bunch of resumes, you can upload them on ChatGPT, and you can say that, hey, this is the job description that I have, and these are some of the people who've shown an interest in this. How would you rate them? And it's going to do some amount of a reasonable job of actually rating those candidates. You'll still have to go through them one by one, because it will not mark it up. It's going to just give you like its perception of it, but not the why of it so much, right?
And even the resume may not be truly representative of the person, which happens all the time. So resume
right.
screening
So
is very shallow level.
Here of course we are assuming that the resume is the person here, and that there is not like a overselling going on at the resume. So that is true. But at least I think, see, the thing is, I know that there is a lot of backlash against resumes. There are two parts to a resume. One is the truth, and one is the embellished truth, right? So the truth is where you went to college, what position you were working on, what kind of company you were at, how long were you there, have you been jumping around, what kind of projects maybe you worked on. And the things that get embellished are the impact that you had on that. How much of you were doing alone, and how much were you working with in a team? How deep did you go in any of these things, right? So those are the things where I think people generally embellish. But if you still want to see somebody's career journey, I think resume is a good place. So unless they're blatantly lying about being in a particular place, right? The description of that can just be be a little bit more than what they did, but you can still get a sense of that, is this an early stage person or not, right? What kind of choices they made, right? So they were at a big company and then they jumped to a small one, or they were at a small company and they went to a big one.
So do you
In the
think it is
same
possible
startup, they stayed for like 3 years, which is really good, because startups are hard, right? So if you have stayed stuck around for 2-3 years in a early stage company, that says a lot about, like, in general, your perseverance and like your so there are a lot of things that are unsaid, but that can still be
all the parameters that you think are important for us to look at the resume. Is it possible for me to like prompt my requirements and get a high quality outcome of filtering them?
You can try. I have seen sometimes it not being so it's not a foolproof thing, but it'll be better than where, if you're at 0, then it'll be better than that. uh, it's just not very organized. I have seen that sometimes because people write resumes in very creative ways, so and it's pretty non-standard. So I wouldn't, like, if you have to read a lot between the lines, then I think reading will take you farther than actually just asking an LLM to do it for you. But it is a starting point. Yeah.
Got it. Now let's come to the Babblebots thing, and then I'll hand it over to Meenakshi as well. I want to, maybe you can describe what is your mechanism for doing this, because I'm also curious, and I think this will also open up everyone's mind on what are the creative ways to leverage AI. So guys, there are two parts I would recommend, because I know a little bit about Babblebots already. There are two parts I would say is to take away from the working of Babblebots. One is, of course, understanding how they are solving it and if that is useful for us and so on. And the other is understanding their workflows and saying, oh, if that's possible in HR, if is there a part of it that I can learn in my own HR process or in my operations process or something like that, right? So because we are going to automate a lot of internal processes in our community, and we're going to keep sharing those learnings. I think one is to look at it purely from the HR angle, but also the other is, the thinking process that you had while designing this product.
Okay.
A little bit, if you can shed light on that, hey, we noticed these are the friction points and these are the places where people get stuck. If you get that perspective, I think it will be very useful for people to think independently also. I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go on the implementation side a little bit, and that will be very valuable. So if you can take that up, explain that, and then I can also let you go about it in whatever way, and then I can bring in Meenakshi right after that.
Okay, that sounds good. So I am seeing some of the comments. Somebody saying कि थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा explain करो, but then there is another person who's saying they only understand Kannada, so I don't know. I don't know Kannada. लेकिन मैं हिंदी में बोलती हूँ. I'm like that's my go-to man.
अब लोग यहाँ हिंदी से ओके हैं कि तो हिंदी मिक्स कर लेते हैं अच्छे से, that's fine. मैं थोड़ी अंग्रेजी बोल लेता हूँ दोस्तों.
और अभी मेरे को मैं इंग्लिश को मैं सिंप्लीफाई तो नहीं कर पाऊंगी यार, क्योंकि जो है सो है अभी फिलहाल. पर तो थिंकिंग प्रोसेस क्या था, तो मैं बता रही हूँ टॉपर में क्या हुआ. टॉपर में हम लोग को बहुत सारे सेल्स वाले लोग हायर करने थे, एंड व्हेन वी हैड टू हायर सो मेनी सेल्स पीपल, देयर वर लाइक सम, I would say 30-40 interns and like junior recruiters that used to work for me then. And Nivedan, the whole day, yeah, they would be doom scrolling up and down on their phone. So I started asking, what are you guys doing? Like, like imagine like there's like a whole room full of people, and then so I thought maybe people are doing Instagram. I don't know what they're doing. Like, they're just on their phone the whole time. So I asked a couple of these typically girls, what's happening? And it turned out they were just calling candidates morning to night. Candidate would tell them, you call me after 2 hours. Then some candidate will say, you call me in the evening. Somebody will do a little 2-3 minute conversation, and then they'll make notes, and then they'll go back to calling the first candidate who said, you call me in 2 hours or whatever, right? And of course there's a little bit of social media in the middle and all that, but basically this is what they were doing. They were just chasing candidates to have like this little conversation, 5-10 minute conversation about their real interest and some capabilities, communication skill check kar rahe the, and those kind of things, right? Sales wali job thi. And so I said, okay, why don't I do this job for a day? I was just curious, like, because it was feeling like it would not be a pleasant thing to do. But I said, okay, day in the life of one of my teammates, let's do it. And I'm not kidding, guys. I felt like a robot at the end of the day. Because and with all due respect to all the people, all of us who've looked for jobs, and all of us have done that, right? If you interview like 8-10 people in the same day, you forget who said what. It's very difficult for the human mind to remember all these things. So you start feeling like a bot. It's like, oh, okay, let me ask this question, let me ask that question, and you're paying half attention. It's quite difficult, right? So I also have some product experience, so just connecting the dots. So Silicon Valley, I have built some products which were similar to using ML and all that. So that's kind of how the dots connected for me. I said, see, I'm feeling like a robot, and I think I know a way to build this that is going to be more pleasing. And so that was the sort of the seed of this idea of Babblebots, that this has to be done with automation. It's not possible to do these first round of screening interviews in a human way possible. It could be my own laziness also, because I know a lot of people have been doing it, but this is what happens, guys. And I know this is a group of entrepreneurs, so I want to just share one point on that. When you have people who are not from the domain look at a problem, they actually often come up with more creative solutions than people who've been in the domain for a long time. So all of us who start thinking that, hey, what can I go and do in some field that you're not familiar with, there's actually sometimes it's an advantage because you do look at it with fresh eyes, and you are not bogged down with, okay, this is how it's always done. So I was kind of like that, because I'd never done an HR job in the past. I'd been more of an engineer and a person than an HR. So to me, that seemed like a machine that was completely broken. So that's how it happened. And the whole idea, coming back to your point about what were the the specific things that sort of led to the idea was, one was scheduling. Scheduling is insanely hard. It is like, it's a most unpleasant task. Like, even when we have to schedule meetings, like even if it's like 2-3 meetings, it feels like a work. So thanks to Calendly, that things are not, feel much better now. Scheduling is thing. Screening and asking the same set of questions objectively, writing them down, and making sure that you are taking an objective decision at the end of the day and not because of tiredness vagera. That sort of a really unbiased approach is very hard to do it as a human. I know people think AI causes a bias. We've had multiple customers tell us that actually AI has reduced the bias in the system. So that is one thing, right? And now I'm not talking about a gender and all this other bias. It's almost like, oh, did he or she have an accent, or they didn't have an accent, right? Inka low energy tha ki high energy tha. Those kind of things, very very simple things. I'm like, so I just want to say, very nuanced also. Sometimes we add our own interpretations to it that are not correct. So that was the second thing, that the standardization is very important. Third thing that's important is that, if you have not done the job of a customer success person, how do you even know what to ask? That is a thing. We are, our worldview is very limited by our own direct experiences. But when you're building a team, you need people with experiences that you don't have. That is the whole idea of building a team. So, like somebody was talking about a tech person, right? If you're not a tech person yourself, how do you even know who to hire? So, I think this is where AI is very, very powerful, because AI, in some sense, is the giant brain of humanity right now, right? And you're just kind of tapping into a little, like, neurons here and there, and they are very powerful, and you should use it to build things, build more powerful companies, than actually be afraid of it. So I think I was definitely not afraid. I felt like there were so many gaps in the whole process that seemed like, it was not possible to build it. I mean, even today, like, I think there are more solutions like this, but I think the core premise of using AI and a very very powerful sort of automation for recruitment is, it's a day zero problem. Yeah.
Awesome. So I think, given that we have some insight into what got you here and the perspective, I would like to, like, we had a demo, right? I think we want to show people how this works. So
Yeah.
Meenakshi is also here. One second, let me bring in Meenakshi. Yes. Hi,
Yes.
Meenakshi. Hi guys,
Hi.
let me also thank you so much for making time, Meenakshi. Let me also,
Thank you.
quick intro here. But you've been a great friend and my senior again from IIT Bombay. That's our common connect. But guys, Meenakshi leads the growth at Babblebots, and they do some really cool things on the growth side. Apart from, of course, their core of hiring, and she has 18 plus years of experience in different domains in the industry across the place, but a lot of that is in branding, marketing, and so on. So with that, Meenakshi, please, why don't you guys show us a demo and take this conversation further, and I'll be watching as a student for a little while.
Yeah. Thank you, Nivedhan. Thank you for that very good, introduction. Thank you for kind words. So, Roli, before we take a dive into the demo part, I would just like you to spend a few minutes on talking about AI agents, because I think when you take the audience through the demo part, you'll be using AI agent and AI recruiter probably interchangeably. So it'll be good if you could just spend few minutes on describing what AI agents are, and how has that helped build the Babblebot journey so far.
Yeah. Actually, ये तो AI की community है, so I think people know what we are talking about here. So I don't think there is. I will spend just a little time on it, but I mean, broadly, AI agents are. So when you talk to ChatGPT, it's a one-off research conversation. It's like you are talking to one person. AI agents is that you are tapping into LLMs, but also asking them to take some action on behalf of whatever is the result. So when you connect multiple steps of tapping into an LLM and then taking an action depending on the response, and sort of navigating fairly convoluted journeys intelligently to achieve a whole task, that actually becomes an agent. So AI recruiter में जैसे कि एक part बताती हूँ workflow का कि यार you had let's say you had 100 people apply to a job and you are asking मतलब plain text में पूछ रहे हो कि यार I'm only looking to hire from people who are based out of Mumbai, so I don't want to deal with relocation, at least 3 years of 3 years of technical experience, mostly in the back end, and they should have worked in product companies. Let's say this is the broad search query that you have. So now if it was just an LLM or a RAG model, what it would do is it will tell you which are the candidates who sort of qualify these criteria and to what extent, right? But this is not enough because now something needs to be happening with this. So what an agent will do is that, hey, you can set it up to say that anybody who's qualifying 80% or more of this criteria, can you send them an interview invitation? Or can you make a phone call to them to do a first round of screening interview? So either you can do an in-depth interview or like whatever, you can just figure out an action based on that. Now that may also not be enough. Let's say you can also say that, hey, if this person did not pick up the phone call, like, the system is set up to call them like maybe again after 4 hours or next day or something like that, right? Or send an SMS or something. The system goes further to say that, okay, now I have received somebody's response. Is this person qualifying on basic criteria or not? Like, I mean, some other questions that you had asked besides what were there in the in this thing. So now this same person has gone to 2-3 steps of engaging with an AI to get to a point that these 100 people that you had, you are able to figure out like who are the top 5, 6, 10 people who seem to have qualified most of your criteria, and if the others who haven't qualified, what are the things that they failed at, right? So maybe they are not from Mumbai but they are from Pune, and then but it's just not that close but not so far, right? So then you can make a human based judgment on what you want to do with that. So that becomes an agent, but each of these single actions is sort of like an independent sort of call to LLM. So that's one way to define an agent.
So keeping a check on the time part, I think really it'll be good if we can, jump into seeing how AI agent actually functions, because, people expecting to learn here. So I think that'll be a very, very good journey to kind of, experience.
Sorry, Meenakshi, can you say that again? I was just looking at the comments. Is there any comment that needs to be highlighted?
No. I was just saying that, people would like to see how we talked about AI agents, we talked about AI recruiter. It'll be good if you could just take us through a live demo, maybe that will just give a good experience. Yeah.
So guys, what we will do is just to keep it fun, I am going to make a phone call to Meenakshi, and she's going to talk to an AI recruiter. So I think many of you may, if you haven't already, start getting these phone calls, which are basically from the companies that you have applied for a job to, and they are sort of reaching out to you to evaluate if the basic criteria that they are looking for, are you qualifying or not, right? It could be very simple things like, availability, location, not something which is very in depth, but just something simple to figure out if your experience matches what they are looking for. So I'm going to just make that phone call, and Meenakshi, you will get it. So let's do that. Okay, Meenakshi, what's your number?
77380.
एक मिनट रुकना. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. So I'll have Eric call you. Eric is our slightly American AI recruiter, but just for fun, we'll check out an American accent right now.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 second. India. Okay, sorry, I have to. Meenakshi, just your number?
77380. 6567.
Okay, cool. So let's see.
You'll have to call me again. Sorry. Yeah.
What happened?
No, it just goes into a missed call thing for my phone. You have to call again.
Acha. Okay. 1 sec then. Okay. Okay, let me try to trigger this. If this doesn't work this time, then we'll do it. We'll just talk about it, or I can show other demos. I mean, actually, you first talk to it and then actually then put it on speaker, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for waiting, guys. There is a question by Akash that what's the percentage of it getting blocked as spam call? Good question. Actually, we use different numbers depending on what the company for different companies. So it doesn't get marked so much as spam. Also, we are not doing like thousands of calls. Like basically, we are only calling candidates who have shown an interest and have applied for the role. So this is not at least not yet a big problem. Yeah, yes, thanks, 𝗵𝗁𝘁. I should have noticed that. Yeah. Did you get it, Meenakshi?
No, not yet.
Okay. So why don't we carry on and not worry about this right now? I think there are some other questions. How exactly is this platform different than any 10 where I can make use of multiple AI agents together? Ideally, if I can use some same APIs. See, I think building agents is not a problem these days. Like, I mean, literally, people are like, you can crank up agents in 5-10 minutes now. I think where actually the value is getting delivered is around integrations. It's around let's say you want a certain specification, a customization in the report. You want to include multiple choice questions as well as like a phone interview. You want to make sure that you are how you are evaluating the candidate, right? Are you using an LLM? Are you using reference answers? So just building that agent is actually quite easy. So if you feel like that just solves your problem, then maybe that is enough for you. But I think you will see that actually a lot of the packaging around agents is where the value in terms of what is a use case that you're solving for, it starts to show. So I hope that answered Prateek, but yeah, that's how we look at it. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Meenakshi, we can go to questions now. What else do you want to talk about?
Yeah, so I actually also want to talk about one question which comes to mind that, we in the session so far, you've talked about the various stages of hiring where AI agents can help, okay, starting from sourcing till shortlisting. Just wanted to also touch base on the concept of human in the loop, right? Because as founders, co-founders
Yeah.
here on this group, they would
Yeah.
like to actually kind of identify people who are not just role fit but also culture fit. People since they're building teams. So how does this kind of work? How does this hybrid model function based on your experience with the clients?
Yeah, great question, actually. So recruiting is one of the functions that there will always be a human in the loop. There should always be a human in the loop because finally it is human beings talking to human beings, right? So I think it's very important that actually there are some humans in the loop at some important parts. Now, what we have done is that, especially for startups, what we do is it's like you can think of it as like Babblebots in a black box that you give us a job description and we give you your top 5-10 candidates. That is the main service right now. If you see for startups, that is what we are doing. That you say that, hey, okay, let's stick to the customer success manager example. कि यार ये हमको एक चाहिए. We are early stage company looking for our first or second customer success manager. Can you find us some candidates? So that's all. You just give us that job description and everything behind gets done by AI till the last step. Now, the last step is where shortlisting is happening, where one recruiter from our team or like one account manager from our team is going to go through um, all the submissions that have come in for interviews and sort of takes your input to figure out who are the best ones. So then when we shortlist them, that's where the human in the loop is coming in. So that is really important, because somebody asked about the context, right? The token, but more than the token limitation, it's the context. And human beings have a wider context about who is going to work than only the AI alone at this point. So that human context, along with whatever we have discovered with AI, together sort of help us get you the top 10 candidates very, very quickly. So that's sort of, so we also want to make sure that if somebody's cheating, then they get caught. And if they're being very, very creative about cheating, then you don't get any fraud cases and all that. So these are the two main things, that to have a wider context in shortlisting more than AI, and to make sure that the sessions and the candidates that you are given presented are clean. Those are the two places where I think human beings are still super, super useful in this whole thing. Yeah.
I think when you were speaking, I got a call from Eric, but that got disconnected. Otherwise, I would have interrupted you. So yeah, there's a technical lag there. So
Okay.
Roli, you talked about the AI agents. I think it'll be good if you could also give us a display of how does a dashboard look like, because that will kind of maybe enable people to visualize what are we talking about when we say that we are helping organizations identify shortlisted candidates.
Yeah. Sorry, 1 second again. I was reading a comment. मीनाक्षी क्या बोलेगी एक बार फिर से?
हाँ, मैं कह रही थी एक बार आप डैशबोर्ड दिखाएं जिसमें कि हम ये
Oh,
कंपनी से
yeah,
कहीं
yeah,
काम करते हैं. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
And maybe if we can place one of the videos there, that would be something that we may be able to show. How does an AI interview look like? Agent interview look like?
Okay.
Yeah. And guys, while Roli is sharing her screen, if you have any questions, please put it on the chat. We'll take it up. And there's a surprise waiting, so don't go anywhere, okay? We have a surprise. We have an AI agent surprise at the end.
So let me show you actually. Share screen. I'm just going to share screen. Okay. So guys, this is the screen for, it's one of our live customers. So we were because this audience I picked up because people will care about this role quite a bit. So it's a social media manager role, and there were probably like about, I think, 50-60 people who had interviewed for this, and about 100 who had applied, but we only shortlisted 10 for them. And then for the company, they get to see only these 10 candidates. Now see, so here this is a comment by the recruiter there, which is like, hey, this candidate has worked in the e-commerce space for 4 years, and it's basically a very good candidate that this person is saying, that the HR is saying that we should go ahead with. But we have integrated basically voice AI in fairly creative ways, and I'll show you that. But let's just quickly look at what the profile looks like for. Okay, I'm going to just hide the top information. Hopefully that's gone. But yeah, so there's this candidate who talks about his salary, the location they are working at. You can see a whole interview summary of what the person said, and it's not a transcript, or it's more about like what they said. And you can see that we have talked about specifically what are the things that this person had talked about, like within the social media, what they have done, right? So what are the KPIs and other sort of campaigns that they have run, location they were okay with, and then talk about salary, availability. You do see a whole video recording here.
Hi, Shefali. I'm Tina, and today I'll be interviewing you for the social media manager position at Instacart.
So I'm not going to go further. It's right now, but here then there is the resume also that you can see. So you can see the resume along with the complete profile of how this person interviewed. Now, in this particular case, I don't think we had multiple choice questions. Otherwise, you could also see all the multiple choice questions. So let's say for a social media manager, you wanted to have somebody who was comfortable doing performance marketing, some amount of figuring out if the campaigns are successful or not, or what is the ROAS and other things of it, right? So you could ask a few questions that are more, I would say, numerical in nature, because you can't actually ask them. You have to just see if somebody is able to, tell you that what are the percentages and other things like that. So our whole session goes between a voice conversation and a sort of a multiple choice questions. In some cases it's a code thing also. So really, depending on the role, there's a bunch of different ways in which we try to get you a really, really good idea about who this candidate and how suitable they are for this role right at the first. So by this time, actually, no human being has actually spoken to the candidate. The candidate has only interacted with AI so far, and this is sort of the output of that. Now, out of these 10, I think they have already selected a few. But what we do is that, let's say, after you've reviewed the profile, you wanted to select this person or you wanted to reject this person. So I'm not going to reject her, but what we do is we actually take the feedback of the hiring manager and the HR, and in this case, the founders. So you click on this to record why you have rejected this candidate. And for anybody who's worked on AI systems, you will realize that actually the feedback is really the food of any AI system. That if you don't close that feedback loop, then actually it's not a very powerful system. So now we have given you, for example, 10 candidates, and you don't like all of them. So there has to be a reason for it. Typically, it ends up being a fairly similar reason, that the location, whatever, that could be some reason. But you record these, and this sort of these voice notes go back to improve the system to find you a better set of candidate. And typically what we have seen, you do this iteration once or twice, and you are able to sort of narrow down to a good set of candidates. So that's really what for like small companies, for startups and SMEs, that's sort of what we do. We don't train you that this is how you should make an interview. This is how, these are the questions you should put. You can tell us those, but by default, actually, the system works quite well as well, and that will just help sort of especially the time-tied people to get to their candidates faster. You don't have to learn anything. It's not a recipe. It is actually the final food, the final pudding for you, and hopefully that sort of moves the things forward faster. I hope that helped. I am happy to see if there are any other questions.
So I just one thing, guys, give me some likes or hands up if you want to actually try interviewing with an AI agent. Can you just share some emoji there so that we know that you're listening to us? Because we would like, that's the next thing I want to talk about. I see some yeses. Okay. Yeah, so basically, we have playground.babblebots.ai. So we were talking about Eric, who's one of the AI agent, and we will just share the link. And we would like to actually, all of you to actually give it a try. Interview with Eric. Roli, you would like to talk about Playground a little bit?
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, actually, there were some questions. I think there's an Akash who's asking a question. Akash is asking about IVR. Yeah, so I think what you saw was the video bot. Those are a little bit more robotic than actually the phone ones, Akash. So if you go to the playground, if you go to playground.babblebots.ai, you guys can log in and you can go and test out both the agents. There's a phone agent, and then there is a more like a video agent. So the most realistic one is Eric, which is the phone agent. So slightly American accent, but like it's very conversational. But the other one, Rohan, is also quite nice, which is an Indian accent. So you can try those on the phone, and you will realize that it's actually quite indistinguishable from human voices. In video, we have to keep it in the video thing. We are also upgrading it, but also video, the latency is a little bit high because people give longer answers. Actually, you will see in phone, you will give shorter answers. But when you ask somebody that, can you explain a project that you did in, like, the most difficult project you did in JavaScript, they'll go deep in what they have to explain. So they are taking a pause, they are thinking. So you want the bot to be a little bit gentle and not keep rushing to the next question, because people need time to think. So that is the reason there's a slightly different way in which we speak on the phone and how we will talk on the video. But for the candidates, it actually works out very well. We've hardly had any candidate actually complain on these things. But yeah, please feel free to go to playground.babblebots.ai and check it out.
Great. So, yeah. Is there any other question anybody wants to answer? We just have a few more minutes for the last question.
Did we leave the playground link here on the chat?
Yeah. And actually, Nidhi, will actually be putting it on banner. So it's there, yes. So guys, it's on your screen. Please check it out. Give it a try. Give it a shot. Whatever we have talked about, you'll actually be able to experience it end to end, and maybe able to use it. And yes, Siddharth, we would love to take the demo and also tell us how did you like the experience talking to an AI agent.
I mean, you can always write to me at Roli@Babblebots.ai. So happy to, or you can write to at sales@Babblebots.ai. Either is fine. Somebody is going to be in touch. There's somebody who's asking this question on what AI are we using. Actually, I think Karanjot is asking. Actually, we have a bag of models approach. So, for example, for transcription, some AI is better. Some foundational models are better. For the probing, the depth of conversation comes better from another model. So if we are using a mixed language, actually there was a question on mixed languages also. Yes, I think the AI recruiters can speak in mixed languages and multiple languages. I mean, they not out of the box, they need a little bit configuration, but it's possible. So what we've seen, transcription with mixed language is better in one system versus pure English is better in another system. तो वो सिस्टम में पीछे बहुत सारे मॉडल्स हैं अलग अलग for different kinds of use cases. So there isn't like a single one that I can name.
Great. So just to add to what Roli said, that our AI agents actually can speak in more than 30 plus languages. हिंदी में तो बात करते ही हैं, हिंदी इंग्लिश दोनों, इंग्लिश बेसिकली दोनों में ही बात करते हैं. So yeah, I think we'd like to conclude the session here. Just one more thing that I wanted to add here is basically that for this community we are running a special offer. If you'd like to hire through Babblebots and hire faster with Babblebots, stay tuned. This community, I mean, you'll shortly get a message about the special offer there. So we're looking forward to speaking to some of you on this channel right now, and getting to collaborate and let our AI agents help you take away the hassles of hiring.
Thank you, guys. There's a couple of questions, but actually let me take those. One question is, how does open source help us? I think we have a few models that we are using, which we got from actually Hugging Face for a few different evaluations around. I think one is around psychometric and one is around English language. I think so we are using some open source models there. We did explore DeepSeek as well. So I think maybe so we don't know exactly. I think there's a lot of latency there, and in our product we can't deal with latency. It has to be a very, very good, fast moving system. So far I think the open source has been limited in our use, but I think as the models are opening up, we'll probably have an opportunity to go back there. Now, one question was, what if people use AI against AI to answer, like reading? Yeah, so Rohit, great question actually. So just like how companies are becoming creative, of course, job seekers are also. So this is a cat and mouse game that has been going on since the beginning of time, I think, at this point. So that is why actually we have that human in the loop, because we have a lot of state-of-the-art like proctoring system, which can catch a lot of the things that are being if somebody's misusing the system. But there's always like some people who are super creative. So that is why we have that human in the loop, that the system that before sort of saying that the person is shortlisted, we do actually have a human review of that to make sure that they were not reading and that the ratings that they got were actually genuine and not because they started reading out from something. So again, I think there's a bit of a human element. Hopefully over time that is also going to be reduced, but I think we'll have to see how that evolves. This is not more than, by the way, I'd like to share one interesting data with you guys. That technical roles is where people do a lot more phubbing than they do in non-technical roles. Non-technical roles, we have not seen so many people trying to find ways to cheat. So, and the numbers there are in low single digits, versus in technical role, it would be maybe like 10% or so that would be actually trying to misbehave with the system, but we are able to catch them. So I think we don't have to worry about this. Yeah. Okay. Now, is there any trick to recruiter and increase the chances of getting hired? Oh, okay. Again, I want to just share an anecdote. I know that we are going over time, but I'm getting questions, so I'm hoping that some people are still here and enjoying this chat. I'm enjoying for sure. Chance of getting hired. So I'll tell you the example I want to give you is that typically when human beings used to shortlist resumes, they focused a lot on credentials. Like आप किस कॉलेज में गए हो, ग्रेड्स कैसे थे, ग्रेड्स तो फिर भी ठीक है, बट किस कॉलेज में गए हो, किस कंपनी में काम किया. Like they were used to look for these sort of like easy to filter criteria to say whether you want to get to the second round of interview or not. Now, what we have started observing is that because these AI recruiters can talk to 100 candidates, and we are not so hell-bent on that you have to be a tier 1 college or you have to have a certain degree, because these days people learn so much by themselves that the degree may not necessarily even indicate what they are good at, right? But because we have the bandwidth to interview hundreds and thousands of candidates, even if you're not very good in terms of your credentials, but if you're really good in that job, whatever you're interviewing for, actually AI is going to bubble up that application as somebody that you are more skillful at. It may flag that, okay, this person did like a 3-year diploma rather than a 4-year degree or whatever, just something small like that. But if your skills, if you were able to demonstrate your skills through the questions, the way you answer the questions, to the multiple choice questions, etc., then actually you do get bubbled up. And this is something that is quite interesting, because we ourselves have identified hidden talent that came to work at Babblebots because they just did really well in the interview. And not necessarily everything else was not so great. So I think there is an opportunity for almost like it is actually democratizing the opportunity rather than making it very narrow, which used to be the case. Can you explain a business in one lean can? I don't know what's a lean canvas thing. Sorry. Then yeah, I hope I've answered. I think there are, are there other people in the everything? Of course, there is competition in everything. We are one of the early movers. I think Babblebots has been around for 3 years. So our models, our whole interaction is, I would say, just more mature in very many ways than many others. But there is competition. But this is a very big area. This is a very big problem. It's a very big area. It's a global problem. So we are active in US as well. So competition is good because we don't have to educate all the customers, and so we sort of enjoy that. And but yeah, we have to keep moving fast. That's the only way that you can survive in the AI world. Yeah.
There's a question flashing, Roli, which says, do these recruiting agents support multiple languages? Yes, they support multiple languages.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Cool. Okay. Great question. And evolving from these. Yeah, it can. Yes, if you think about it. So Namit, actually at this point, most people are having their first conversations with AI recruiters, right? I think not very far in the future, you will start seeing that, let's say you interviewed using the Babblebots AI agents for 3-4 different roles. We can start to build a profile where we see that how you are progressing in whatever you are, whatever your area of interest is or area of jobs is. So yes, it is going to sort of evolve in that direction. Like I said, for any AI system, feedback is really important. So if we figured out why you had gone to the next round or why you had been rejected in the last one, that also starts coming back into the system. So yes, and I think in not very far future, you will start see these the sort of like these interviews being used as a way to build better profiles of candidates, and I think that will be quite valuable. How can we leverage AI to know more about a person's personality values? Can we even do that with AI? Great. Actually, thanks for asking this question. So at least in Babblebots, we have psychometric tests also. So we do a 5 personality test, 5 big ocean 5 personality that is embedded. We are also building a few more personality psychometric tests that we sort of embed in the system, and because the system can do both like a conversation as well as a multiple choice question on a sort of a browser interface, then it's easy to do. So we are actually combining multiple different businesses together. So there is the business of job boards, there is the business of assessments, and then there's the business of just recruitment, the hiring screen. So we are sort of it combines everything in a single all-in-one sort of a offering, which is quite unique, I think, for smaller companies. But yeah, that's what we're doing.
Thank you so much, Roli. Thank you, Meenakshi, for taking out your time and conducting this session. I see a lot more questions, but I think the remaining questions, guys, you can directly connect with Roli and Meenakshi on LinkedIn, or you can write to them on their email IDs, which Roli shared, which is roli@babblebots.com, if I'm correct, Roli.
Babblebots.ai.
Babblebots.ai and sales@babblebots.ai. So you can connect directly there if you have any more questions. Since we are running out of time, we need to wrap it up quickly. So thank you so much, Roli. It was a wonderful session. Thank you, Meenakshi, for taking out your time. I hope APEs had great time absorbing all the things that Roli and Meenakshi had to share. So thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Anidhi, would you like to announce that special offer, please?
Oh, yeah, there is
something. Would you like to announce a special offer, please?
I think Roli and Meenakshi, you guys would be the best people to do that. Yes.
Roli, do you want to take the lead? We'll quickly wrap up the
absolutely,
session.
Guys, yeah, very. So first of all, I think this was a very interactive session. So really enjoyed. I think there's all kinds of people here. So I think there's job seekers, there are people looking for internships for their kids. It's great. I really enjoyed it. We do have a special offer if you are looking to hire for your companies and you would like to explore how Babblebots can help. We do have a 10% discount on whatever is on the website. And you can see the prices there. We do start with minimally 3 roles that we work upon, and so if you can just let us know that you came after listening to this webinar, we'd be happy to extend that discount to you and get you basically take away your pain of hiring. Yeah.
So guys, I hope you make the most of this discount if you're looking for it. But other than that, thank you so much, Roli and Meenakshi. I hope the community will find this helpful because there were a few questions regarding recruitment as well in the Telegram community that we have. So yeah, thank you, Roli. I think we'll wrap it up now.
Okay, cool.
I have a great night.
Nice chatting. Look forward to connecting with some of you later also. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye.